Hey friends, this is Matthew Brown. Have you ever had a moment in your life when things were so easy, but they weren't aligned to your purpose? If that's you, I want to talk to you about the trap of being streamlined. This is the Undercurrent. Hey everybody, have you ever looked up and realized that you were just coasting? I talked about this before in our other podcast around autopiloting. Well, things can feel smooth, even successful, but they're still off. Today, I want to unpack a subtle but powerful trap that many of us fall into. It's mistaking ease for alignment. And so you may be productive. You may be polished. Listen, you get praise from everyone about how good you are and what you do, but still you're out of your purpose. And so this episode is about how to tell the difference between what's easy and what's true. I often think of an analogy of either tubing on the river or a lake and kind of connecting the canoe or the tube to the current. Imagine if you were on a canoe and you were floating downriver and the water's calm and the current is steady and you're moving effortlessly downstream. It feels easy. Yeah, but there's a twist. You'll realize that you're drifting and not really moving towards your direction. You're further away than your destination really was. That's the streamline trap. It's when you confuse smoothness of the current with the rightness of direction. You see, in life, we do that all the time. Just because things flow easily doesn't mean that they're flowing correctly. I read Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a neurotherapist, and she explains that the brain, in its quest, basically creates mental habits. There are things that the brain will consistently repeat, right? And it prioritizes that ease of familiarity. And when those paths are misaligned, man, we've missed our core identity. In her words, the brain will wire towards what's repeated, even if what's repeated is misaligned with your purpose. I think about ease and alignment. I think personally, I'm in that journey myself. You know, being good at something isn't the same as being called to it. And I really want to pause for a moment and say to you that this is really important. What are you good at, but you're not called to? Things that you are called to will fulfill you in such a purposeful way that makes you being good at it excellent. But things that we're good at on our talent, but we're not called to, will sometimes just keep us empty. So you may be admired for your competence, but dying inside from disconnection. The alignment will ask, am I living equal to who I truly am and what I truly value? You see, purpose is always going to check your competence and even your talent. Purpose is going to pay you when others cannot afford you. And then if we misunderstand ease and alignment, then you're also going to fall into a trap of false forward motion. You see, that's when we get all of the external validation. We get all the titles, the money, the applause, and all that stuff can trick us into thinking that we're really progressing. But momentum without meaning is just movement. When I have momentum and all the things are working for me and they're working in I think I'm doing my thing, it's just without meaning, it's only movement. I move from one place to the next and I find myself feeling the same way. So you got to check your motivations. Are you succeeding for others or aligning for yourself? When we are focused on succeeding for other people and we dismiss the me factor, the you factor, the purpose factor, then we'll see that we're giving out without being compensated. And again, I tell people all the time, particularly my daughters, my young adults, hey, There's certain things in life that you've got to lock into that purpose will only pay you. You see, my story is real because I had this time and season in my life where I was a public administrator and heavy into politics. But I had to move from politics to purpose. And then I had to learn the politics of purpose. You see, that's a whole nother experience that you have to remember that there come times in our lives where everything looks successful. So, a promising political career, a high profile space, and rooms that you were in, you're meeting people that you only saw on television. You're thinking, man, this is so cool. And you're even respected by your peers. But something feels hollow. And maybe I'm talking to you. Maybe you have checked all the boxes. Maybe you're in that space in your life where things are on track, where you believe that this is where you ought to be. And you're seeing all of the externals that would point you to a place of success. But really, you are feeling empty. I've mistaken that streamline trap for soul fulfilling, right? It took courage and discomfort, but you have to pivot. You have to pivot from what's easy to what is eternal, because purpose lives in its eternality. Your function lives in a moment. And that's when purpose started speaking louder than praise. Well, what do we do about this? The first thing I'll say that you got to learn how to audit your autopilot. This week, list areas in your life where you're coasting. Where is it so easy that it is not even a strain anymore? Ask yourself, am I doing this because it's easy or because it's aligned with who I am? Because that one question is really going to cause you to audit your autopilot. The second thing is you got to pause before performing. Before you say yes, and let me tell you, I am the king of yes. I'm the king of, oh, we can get it done. Because there's something in my purpose that drives me that says, I want more, I want more, I want more. Maybe purpose is some dopamine that gives you this sense of fulfillment and this sense of, wow, when you really are in what I call the sweet spot of your purpose, you are moving at just lightning speed and you're saying yes, yes, yes. But I caution you that the streamline trap is because when your purpose becomes easy, that may be the time to back away from what's easy, because purpose always needs a challenge. So before you say yes to another opportunity, ask yourself, is this feeding my future or just flattering my function? Because there's a big difference. My third suggestion is to redraw the map. I want you to take a moment to revisit a passion or conviction that you've sidelined, something that you just put away. For some reason, you either ran out of time or you ran out of passion. But that thing never ran away because it wasn't practical. You said, nope, I'll leave it. I want you to reignite it. I want you to go back and pick it up. I want you to intentionally look at it this week and then understand that purpose doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, remember me? Maybe there is that nagging sound echoing in your inner ear that says, I'm still here. I'm still here because you have not completed who I am. And it is that purpose, whether by a roar or a whisper, that is calling you to a place of distinction and significance, but more so a place of fulfillment. So here's the challenge. I want you to audit your current flow. I really want you to identify where are you in ease, but you're not in alignment. You're, again, either on the tube, floating on the lake, the canoe, on the river. It's smooth, but you're drifting and you're really not moving forward? Where are you praised, but you're not present? I will tell you that there are so many people today that show up and we see them present, but they've checked out. Whether it's your office, whether it's the place that you worship, people, can you imagine that people are present for church, but they're not present for the presence of God? Where have you checked out? I want you to pause. I want you to reroute. And then I want you to reclaim your direction, not float aimlessly and move about. So you weren't made just to move. You were made to mean something. You know, it reminds me of when I was growing up. Sometimes you feel as though you've peaked too early. I mean, we were doing things ahead of time and ahead of our time, basically. And it got to the point that everyone said, "Oh, you're so good at this. This is what you're good at." And I was allowing a talent, a gifting, something that I enjoyed at the moment to frame my identity. And then I learned quickly that you can always be a victim of your own success. What is it that you do so well that people, they stop applauding and they just now expect you to always knock the ball out the park, to always hit the mark, to always be present, to always come through, to be their superhero, to be their aid, because now what comes easy for you has really now identified you. And people, while they will applaud at first, they will then move to a place of expectation. Without a thank you, without a nod, without a sincere understanding, without a sincere connection, they just simply expect you to be that. So I learned that when things get very easy for me, I need a new challenge. I need something else to call purpose powerfully, because ease has a way of inoculating purpose so that you're okay with just being good. Purpose requires that you are expanded, that it will stretch you, it will push you, it will put you in a corner and make you cry. It will make you feel helpless, empty, and void. And then at the moment that you realize that this is who you really are, purpose blossoms like a flower. It's like an unexpected rain burst. It's a cloud that falls. It is a watering. It's a overnight growth. It's a maturing. It's a coming to a moment, simply because you chose not the easy path. So when the flow feels right, you don't just perform, you resonate. This is the Undercurrent.